Harry and Samra lived in a quiet corner of a peaceful town, where mornings usually began with the soft sound of birds and the gentle warmth of sunlight touching their small porch. Their life was simple, steady, and filled with the quiet routines of a couple who had learned to find happiness in little things. But beneath this calm surface lay a silent ache. The couple had spent years hoping for a child, only to be met again and again with disappointment. Doctors had told them that the chances were low, and time had slowly turned their hope into a quiet acceptance, though the longing had never completely left their hearts. One early morning, their lives shifted in a way they could never have imagined. When they opened their front door to welcome the day, they found a small bundle resting on their doorstep. Wrapped in a soft blanket, the baby lay peacefully, unaware of the shock and disbelief that washed over the couple. The suddenness of the moment made everything feel surreal. No note, no sign, no hint of who had left the child or why. Only a tiny baby, fragile yet alive with the soft innocence of new life. The couple's first instinct was concern and protection. They brought the baby inside, trying to understand the situation, their minds filled with questions and possibilities. The baby seemed healthy, though a little frightened, crying softly as though sensing the unfamiliar surroundings. As Samra held the child, something stirred deeply within her, a feeling she had not experienced in years. It was as if the emptiness she had carried for so long was suddenly touched by something warm and unexpected. Harry felt the shock just as strongly, but his immediate thoughts rushed toward responsibility. He stepped outside again, scanning the street for any figure, any movement, any clue that could explain the presence of the baby. He approached neighbors, hoping someone might have seen a person walking past, a shadow near their door, or anything unusual during the night. But no one knew anything. The night had been like any other, silent and uninterrupted. Hours passed, but the mystery only deepened. Something about the situation felt intentional, purposeful, as though the child had been placed specifically at their door. Later, as Samra gently wrapped the baby more securely, she noticed something unusual on the blanket, a small stitched symbol shaped like a bird. It was delicate, faded, almost hidden in the fabric. The sight triggered a distant memory. Years earlier, there had been a shelter for struggling young women in their town, but it had been shut down after a scandal involving mismanagement and neglect. The shelter's old logo had a similar bird symbol. This connection lingered in Samra's mind. The possibility that the baby belonged to someone from that shelter began to form. She decided to visit the abandoned place, hoping for answers. The building looked forgotten, its walls worn by time, its courtyard overgrown with weeds. Yet inside, she found an elderly caretaker who still visited occasionally to maintain the property. He noticed the symbol when she showed it to him and recognized it immediately. Years ago, a young girl named Hania had lived there. She had been troubled, silent, and often afraid. She had no family and had disappeared from the shelter months before it closed. The blanket was hers, handmade during her time there. Meanwhile, Harry continued his search for information through another route. A friend who worked at the hospital shared a surprising detail. A young woman matching Hania's description had recently given birth, but had never returned for her postnatal checkup. Despite attempts by the hospital to locate her, she had vanished without leaving any contact information. This revelation made everything suddenly clear. The baby had been left intentionally, and not randomly. Hania must have known the couple or observed them closely enough to trust them with her newborn's life. 2 days after the discovery, when the couple had just begun to adjust to the presence of the child in their home, a letter arrived without a sender's name. The handwriting was shaky, and the paper smelled faintly of old fabric and dust. The letter revealed a heartbreaking confession. Hania explained that she had run away from the shelter after facing abuse from people who were supposed to care for her. She had lived in constant fear, moving from place to place, surviving only through small acts of kindness from strangers. When she discovered she was expecting a baby, her fear intensified. She knew she could not provide a safe life for her child. In the letter, she wrote that she had seen the couple many times, walking together, helping neighbors, showing kindness even when they were unaware anyone was watching. She had watched them long enough to believe that her baby would find love and safety in their home. She wrote that she was leaving town to protect herself from those who had hurt her, and she hoped her child would never have to face the life she had endured. The letter ended with a plea for forgiveness and a blessing for the baby's future. Reading the letter left the couple overwhelmed with sorrow for the mother, compassion for her struggle, and a growing sense of responsibility toward the child now resting in their home. The story behind the baby's arrival was far more tragic and meaningful than they had imagined. Over the next few days, the couple sought legal guidance. They wanted to ensure everything was done properly and that the child would be legally protected. When asked whether they wished to adopt the baby permanently, their answer came with the certainty of a decision their hearts had already made. They chose to raise the child as their own, believing that fate had brought the baby to them for a reason. Life slowly transformed after that. Their home filled with a warmth they had longed for but had never expected to experience. The baby's presence brought a new rhythm to their days, gentle, hopeful, and filled with small joys that stitched themselves into the fabric of their lives. The couple placed a lantern at the doorstep where the baby had been found, a symbol of light, safety, and new beginnings. It was a reminder of the moment that changed everything, a quiet promise to protect and nurture the life entrusted to them by fate and by a mother who had loved her child enough to let go in that peaceful home. Surrounded by warmth and hope, the couple finally discovered the family they had waited for, not through chance, but through a destiny shaped by courage, hardship, and the power of unexpected love.